Getting a diagnosis of multiple myeloma, well, it's the start of a new and, let's be honest, a really challenging journey. It can feel completely overwhelming, but you are not powerless. Think of this explainer as a practical guide, something to give you tools and strategies to help you navigate this path with a much greater sense of control and well-being. So let's start by just acknowledging the emotional side of all this.
First things first, just take a look at this list. After hearing a diagnosis like myeloma, your world can feel like it's been flipped upside down. And these feelings here, confusion, anxiety, anger, they're not just words on a screen. They are 100% normal, totally valid responses. It's that fog of medical terms, that constant buzz of worry, the sheer frustration of a future that suddenly feels so uncertain. Just admitting that this is hard, that's the first and, honestly, the most important. So, to help us work through this, we've got a clear plan. We're going to start with that emotional reality we just talked about. Then, we'll dive into how to get back a sense of control. After that, we'll talk about building your support system, look at some really practical ways to cope, and finally, we'll get a clear handle on understanding infection risk. Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the emotional reality. This is all about just acknowledging how you feel, because really, that's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. So how do we even begin to push back against that huge feeling of uncertainty? Well, one of the most powerful tools you have is knowledge. Seriously, when you're feeling lost in the confusion, good information becomes your compass. It helps you become a true partner with your healthcare team, letting you make informed decisions. And that can transform that raw anxiety into a real sense of purpose and empowerment.
And that feeling of empowerment leads us perfectly into our second section, regaining a sense of control. This is where we make a shift. We're going to shift our focus away from the things we can't change to the small, meaningful actions we can take right here, right now.
You know, this quote just gets right to the heart of it. It's such a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful way to live. When our minds start racing ahead to all the what-ifs, it gets totally paralyzing. But if you can bring your focus back to your quality of life today, to what you can actually influence in this moment, that's where you find a sense of calm. So what does that actually look like day to day? It's all about the small wins. On a good day, maybe you set a goal to take a short walk or call a friend. On a tougher day, hey, a win could just be writing a to-do list with 2 things on it. And keeping a diary can be such a great tool, not just for tracking symptoms for your doctor, but also to just give yourself a safe, private space to sort through everything you're feeling.
This brings us to a really crucial point in Section 3, building your support system. The key message here is simple, but it is so essential. You are not alone in this.
You know, your support network is probably a lot bigger than you think. Of course, you've got family and friends, but it's also your doctor, your nurses, the entire medical team. And you have to remember, being open with them about your worries and your symptoms, it's not being a burden. It's actually a vital part of your care that lets them help you in the best way they can.
Now, part of leaning on that support system is knowing when you might need to ask for a little extra help. Stress? That's going to happen. But it's so important to recognize when that stress might be tipping over into depression. So let's take a quick look at some of the signs to be aware of.
If you find yourself looking at this list and thinking, yeah, that's me, if you're consistently struggling with sleep, or you've lost interest in things you used to love, or you just can't concentrate, it's time to talk to your doctor or nurse. These are real, treatable symptoms, and reaching out for help is a true sign of strength.
Okay, let's move on to Section 4, practical ways to cope. Here, we're going to focus on some tangible, everyday things you can do that can have a really big impact on how you feel, both physically and mentally. Let's start with nutrition. Why does this matter so much? Well, because a balanced diet gives your body the fuel it needs to handle treatments and to repair itself. Think of it like giving your body the best toolkit possible. And look, the goal here isn't perfection with every single meal. It's about finding a good balance over the course of a day or a week. And hey, if your appetite isn't great, try having smaller, more frequent meals instead of trying to force down 3 big ones.
And what about moving your body? Gentle exercise can be a total game changer for fighting off that treatment-related fatigue and giving your mood a real boost. We're not talking about running marathons here. It's just about reclaiming a little bit of your energy. The absolute golden rule is to listen to your body. If you feel pain, you stop. And always talk to your doctor before you start any kind of new routine. Now, for those moments when the stress or the anxiety just feels like it's cranking up to 11, having a simple relaxation technique right in your back pocket can be so helpful. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated. In fact, let's walk through one together right now.
This is called box breathing, and you can literally do it anywhere. Just find something rectangular. It could be a window, a door, even the screen you're looking at.
As your eyes trace along one of the long sides, breathe out slowly. Then, as your eyes move along a short side, breathe in. Just keep following that rectangle with your eyes and your breath until you start to feel that sense of calm return. It's a simple but really powerful way to ground yourself in any moment.
All right, for our final section, we are going to tackle a really important practical topic. Section 5, Understanding Infection Risk. This is an absolutely key part of staying as healthy as you possibly can while living with myeloma.
Let's just start with a number that really shows why this is so critical. People with multiple myeloma are about 15 times more likely to get an infection. That is a huge number, right? And it really underscores why being proactive about this is just so important. But have you ever stopped to wonder why the risk is so much higher? It's because myeloma messes directly with your body's defense system. See, the myeloma cells, they produce a ton of antibodies, but they're faulty. They don't work right. And at the same time, they're crowding out the healthy cells that are supposed to be making the good, functional, disease-fighting antibodies that you actually need.
But here's the good news. This is another area where knowledge is power. There are simple, really effective steps you can take to lower your risk. These aren't just chores, they're empowering habits. Washing your hands often, staying away from people who are obviously sick, protecting your skin from cuts. These are all things within your control that can help keep you safe.
Wow, we've covered a lot, from handling tough emotions to practical health tips, but it all really comes back to taking control of what you can, one day at a time. So as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this one question. Looking at everything we've talked about, what is one small, manageable goal you can set for yourself today?